Welcome, hello, yes and hi. My name is Tai. Today's video is about why an initiatory system can be a booster to your path. You can do a hermit path, working all alone for yourself, or you can join a group of people doing the same work you are doing. So be it as a coven, a circle, an order, whatsoever. And both has its downsides and its benefits, and today I want to cast a little light on that. But before I get into this, make sure to subscribe the channel so to stay updated about my next following posts. And also, of course, today my work is related to the initiatory work at the Order Dragon Rouge, but I am no speaker of the Order Dragon Rouge, so I'm not promoting the order. Today's video is about overall, whatever coven you pick, if it is beneficial to you to work in a group or if you better work alone. So before I get into that, in my past, I already told in before videos, but I will summarize it a little. In my first 16 years, I I was born as an empath, but I had no support. So there was no one being able to teach me up, to support me, to explain things, to give a hint or to give a warning about things I was doing. And I already was working with entities, I was working with energy streams, I was conscious about the out of body happenings, and I was non-consciously pathing thresholds. So basically, I was in the middle of everything, but no one teaching on me, not in a human way. So energetically, I was learning, but in a human way to be able to speak about, to exchange about. I was all on my own, all on myself, all alone. So when I was 16, it was the first time when I met somebody who was able to teach me up about astral works. She named herself a Luciferian high priest, and but she was not really like a mentor. She rather was like an extra mama to me back then, and I'm grateful for the steps she was able to help me. And when I was 16, my parents brought me to holiday camp for kids. And back then I was reading Nostradamus, and I was swallowing this. And when I was at this holiday camp for kids, I met a cool guy. I think this name will be some more in the world. So, but he had a really cool name. However, Benjamin. I just say Benjamin. Benjamin and me, we were sitting at this holiday camp, and he was some years younger than me, but we were discussing about what if this is true. And we discussed the downside and the positive side of humankind, and we came to the solution: if we fucked up everything here on Earth, it's better we don't develop the skill to fly away to another planet, because we would do the same crap again on that planet. So, and while we were highly discussing about this, all the kids around were like, "Wow, we will die all." So, and so the grown up, who had to take the responsibility for all this trip, came to us and said, "Hey, you may not talk about this. Not talk about Nostradamus. And when you are talking about, could you be so nice to place there over where the kids can't hear you?" So, yeah, it was quite cool. And this is why I remember that summer. It was around 2016. No, sorry, 1996. Wow, I'm growing old. 1996. And so it was the first time. I really found somebody to discuss, to change your mind, to reflect on things, on opinions, on thoughts you did carry all the time. And we had, I think it was 2 weeks or so, and Benjamin and me, we were talking all this vacation just about the down of world and how humanity rocked everything and what could we do better and where do we already yeah, cast it to the trash bin already. So it was highly inspiring. It reflects until today. But this was not until 1996. Then there followed a phase of 20 years when I was only exchanging with friends and like-minded people, but on a thin way. You know somebody who is doing in cards, and you know somebody who knows about stones, and you have somebody who knows about runes, and maybe you got somebody who knows about incenses. And so you're sitting there and having your free time together, and one is telling his thing and the other is telling the other thing. And so you get a wide spectrum of the current esoteric scene. To me, back then, it took a few years. I got into rune works, and there I'm quite thankful for the works Stephen Flowers did. Back then it was Edward Thorson at the books, and there was one book, what was a working book about runes, and the other was about rune magic. And I did swallow these books. Also, my very first book about runes was Ralph Bloom, and I had no blink about who he is. I just got this book into my hands, and that was my first book I got, followed by the books of Edward Thorson, so Stephen Flowers. If you are into rune work, Stephen Flowers I really can recommend, highly recommend, as he does not just guess about his work, he does know. So, being said this, I was really deeply into rune work, and yeah, life can be a tricky thing. So, put it in a nutshell, I met my husband, and I met my husband through a request I did about runes. And so, how things did unfold, I did travel there, and we fell in love, and so we did live together and later on married. And so I had several years of rune working together with him. And also we were on esoteric fairs all over Germany and the surrounding countries, and had the absolute wonderful experience to exchange with people all over the country about the rune work, the energy streams, and also the currently ongoing spiritual discussions about the root work, root working, the geomantic works, and whatever was on the esoteric market back then. And I am a very open-minded person, and I did learn much about people. And I think I did teach many people just by showing my work and how I do. So it was a fruitful time, but everyone was working by himself, and you basically were presenting your work, and you did observe other ones presenting their work, but there was no backup. There was no way to ask for. And then it happened end of 2016. So about 8 years ago, that I had a really strong Kundalini experience, which took quite a while to be able to get it under control. And back that days, It was the first time when I said, okay, now I get me someone skilled on my side. I mean, in my past, I had two mentors. If I count my husband and if I count Stephen Flowers with his books, so be it maybe 4 or 5 mentors all over. But naming as a mentor, maybe my extra mama and the first one who did introduce me to the runes. But I was never member of a coven, and I never wanted to be any member of any coven because I'm not a, I don't dig into clubs and I don't dig into organizations where it's more structure than benefit about. And I don't like a chicken fight with people who think they do rituals and basically it's just chicken fighting who's the most beautiful chicken of the world. Not get it wrong, but I really was no social person to get involved into circles. So, but then there came the time when I said I have to get me some serious support. And I did apply to the Order Dragon Rouge. To put it in a nutshell, I was not very long there, just for the first grade of initiation. But this first grade did support me on a huge way. I was able to learn control about the Kundalini problem I got. I was able to understand that all the entities I was working with, most of them I already knew. Because when I did my rituals that I was supposed to exercise, to learn, to however, I I did find the same energy structures again. So basically it was like, ah, you, I know you, I know you. Remember, not by me, but the entity. So I met entities again I did already meet before, and I had no name to. And now suddenly I got a name to them, and I got a structure to work with. And it really helped me on my way. Out of personal reasons, I took a break between the first initiation and my rejoining. And this break was about 4 years. And now there is something very interesting. My husband always said, the more you see, the more sees you. So if you open your senses and you're able to perceive your surrounding entities, energy structures, they see you. And in this case, if you are working with a circle or a coven or whatsoever, this working the same purpose, working the same structure for a same goal creates a kind of a current. What is, in my words, a kind of an energetically home. So you connect through this current as well because you are focused to one point. And if you want to pick an example from religions, as it is no religion, but if you take a example of religions, then a church full of people praying the same prayer are creating a current as well, an energy, entity, form, structure, whatever. And while I was out of the order, out of personal reasons, I still was connected to this current, current entities. And I was still learning. I once told in another video, sometimes you learn by exchanging by word, and on the other side, you are learning by energy. And once you find entities who are willing to support you, to teach on you, etc., and or to human, and you link to their energies, you can learn from this energy. So basically, even though I was out of that order for 4 years, I was still ongoing learning. And my musen went into best form ever before, because that was a time when she unveiled, when she said, here I am, work with me, this is my past, this is my purpose, this way I'm linked to you. This happened during this time. And there was midwinter in 2000, in 2020. Yeah, exactly. In 2020, when I decided, okay, now it is time to come back. And I did reapply and I did rejoin. And since this, I am full dedicated into my initiatory path. And I can just say, I'm not sorry for a second I am in. I'm not sorry for a second I was out. I'm very, very honored to have a good brotherhood and sisterhood at my side. And yeah, so that's my way of working I had in my past. So you see, I was working alone. I was working with just friends. And I also am working now in a group. So in an initiatory process. So what is the benefit or downside on an hermit path or on an initiatory system? The hermit path is sometimes needed. So as for the 4 years, for example, you use it to retreat, to listen to your inner voice, to reset, to get some roots, to hear inside of you exclusively. This is what a hermit path is good about. But the downside is, if you develop a new ritual unchecked, or if you are doing just individual works out of your own creation, the risk of success, failure, maybe harm, is totally unbalanced. So the disadvantage is you cannot question your work, you cannot reflect your work, and you cannot get yourself support or backing if something goes wrong. So it is a way needed to do a hermit path now and then, but on the other side, it shouldn't be a long-term work. You should get you someone who can support you on your way, because it is not just a mentor teaching you up. It is the mentor is reflecting on things you are practicing. He's reflecting on his own path, and you are reflecting your path by the instruction you get by proven rituals, by rituals which are tried on tried and tested already. And you also know you got a strong brotherhood at your side, or sisterhood, whatever groups you pick. And the techniques you are using are techniques hundreds of people maybe did already do. And so if something is going wrong, you can ask an older brother or sister, damn, I got a problem now. I did do this and that invocation or ritual, and now I got an outcome. I, for example, don't sleep since 3 days, and I don't know how to get down these energies or whatever. And then they can give you an advice how to integrate this progresses you're doing. So it is beneficial to have someone at your side in a safe frame, like an order, like a circle, and with a proven ritual frame that is not just scribbled down on a paper by inspiration, but rather tested over years in practice, so you can be sure to get out success in practicing it. And if you need a support, you know who to ask for support. So this for today, but question is it beneficial to be a hermit or to join a group, an order, a circle? In a German terming, jein. It is a clear yes to join an order, and it is a clear yes to do an hermit path. It just depends on where you are, what is your current state of working, what is your current stand of need, and when you need support, and when you're pushing through your own borders, and when you are unfolding and developing your skills, then I would clearly say an initiatory path is a better pick than a hermit path. So this for today, food for thoughts, and I wish you a wonderful day or night. See you next time.